Okay, yeah. So this is more of a slope problem. So we have to understand that, oh, no. You have to understand that for every one increase in Fahrenheit, our Celsius is going to be increasing by 5/9, right? Because that's what the slope means. Slope is rise over run. So for every increase in y, that x increases by 1, right? For every 1 increase in x, that's how much y increases. Y, that's the slope, right? So does this make sense? Does the statement make sense? Yeah. Okay. And then we see that number 1 is the same sentence, right? For every 1 degree in Fahrenheit is equivalent to a temperature of 5/9. So we know it has to be one of our answer choices, leaving us with A or D. Now the next one. How do we check the next one? Well, remember, we had what number was in our x value? I mean, what variable was our x in this case? Or in this case, what variable was our x, right? 1 degree, right? Yeah, F. 1 degree Fahrenheit was our x. And then this was our y. Now, if you see here, we're switching this every 1 degree increase. So this has to be our x, and which means this is going to be our y. So now we see that we have to write F equals, correct? We have to switch it. You right? Because now this needs to be our y variable and c needs to be our x variable. Okay. So with that, if we rearrange it, we get 9/5 times c plus 32 equals F, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, then what's our slope in this case? Exactly. For every 1 increase in C, F increases by 9/5, which if you make it into decimal is 1.8. So you see that matches this statement. All right. And we know from that that has to be D. Do you guys understand that? Or is there, you want me to go over something like, you want me to go over something again in this problem? You got it? How about the other person? It's good? Okay. And the last one doesn't make sense. If you look at it, for a temperature increase in 5/9 degree Fahrenheit is equal to a temperature in the increase. That just makes no sense. And also another way, if you didn't really know the slope definition, I've seen this way also been done, but this is the one I caution against. It takes like around 3 to 4 minutes. This is it's going to be a time consuming way, but it's actually to plug in numbers. It's very time consuming because you don't have a calculator. But if you really have to, and let's say that's the only problem you have left, you've done all the other problems, you might as well try that just to get an answer, and you will get the right answer that way. So yeah, okay. Yeah, we got D. Good job. Now we have to do this one. This, again, SAT is gonna be all about, can you find the fastest way? It's not gonna ask you to do tedious math. It's usually not gonna ask you to do tedious math. If you see something that's very complicated, there's always gonna be a quicker way there's always gonna be a quick way to do it. Because they know that there's a time limit. They can't force you to do a lot. Like they can't make you do like 30 minutes of math in just like 20 minutes or 15 minutes. Okay. So it's doable in enough time. So how about question 2? Minus 8x squared. 8ax squared. Yeah, I see. Right. Right. Okay. For this one, you're right. And so you always have to look at the big, always in these types of problems, when you've got dividing, I think the fastest way is just to look at the biggest powers, the one with the biggest powers. Okay, both sides of the biggest powers. So let's care about this. These two have the biggest power. These two have, this one has the biggest power, right? So if you do 24, because we know 24 divided by x squared, divided by ax, this has to equal tudum, 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 has to equal this, right? Because the reason why this has to equal that is because we have our this is kind of like our only way to get or minus 8x, because this is our x and this is our x squared. Okay, so this cancels with that, and then this cancels out with that. Oh, that's supposed to be a and then so we get a equals to -3. So like I said, each problem, they don't want you to spend too much time on it. There's always going to be a faster way. In fact, actually, I remember that this question and the previous question about the Fahrenheit were on the same test. So I kind of feel bad for, I mean, it was a practice test, so that's okay. It wasn't like a real test. So did you guys understand that? Okay. They used foil. I wouldn't recommend that. I mean, they use foil. That's complicated. This is usually what people tend to do. They tend to plug in numbers, and that's where it gets crazy. Okay, another one. This one. If this is this, what's the value of this? Here's a hint. Always in these problems, the best thing to do is simplify. Simplify the expression as much as possible, and then everything will work perfectly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Simplification is the best way to go. This isn't too bad of a question. If we simplify this, we get 2 raised to 3x divided by 2 raised to y. We use our exponent rules. We bring the y on top, so it's going to be a negative sign. And then we see that this is going to equal 12. All right. Not too bad. So yeah, always the way to go is simplify. And also, answer choice D, I've never seen being the right answer. The only time I've seen the right answer is actually like the answer is the value cannot be determined is on the ACT. They can sometimes have that as the right answer, but usually on the SAT, I don't think they have that. I was so confused for the first time when that was the answer because I knew, like, I always thought you could they'd make you there'd be a way to solve it, but apparently on the ACT they sometimes just give you impossible problems that you're supposed to identify. Geometry. You guys could draw this if you want, or you don't need to. So question 4. And I'd say, yeah, the questions are technically getting easier. This is a bit annoying, you could say. But I think it'd be better if you drew it. If you try to draw it, it might be better. Mm-hmm. I just realized this is incorrect. This thing over here. No calculator, no calculator. This is not equal to that. Typesetting is probably off. Mm-hmm. Tell me when you both want me to explain. You ready? I'll wait for the other person too. Okay, yeah. This one, yeah, this one isn't too bad either. Points A and B lie on the circle would say radius 1. Radius 1 means it's going to have the circumference of 2 pi r. R is just 1, so it's going to have a circumference of 2 pi. This arc has the length of pi over 3 and the length of the circumference. What fraction of, so we know that the length is pi over 3, and then over the total is going to be 2 pi. All right. So then doing this, we have to flip it, we reciprocate it, and then we multiply by 1 over 2 pi to get our answer of 1 over 6. Okay. So you guys got how to do that? Yeah. Okay. This one, ooh, imaginary numbers. This one is really hard if you don't know how to deal with imaginary numbers. Really hard. But if you do know how to deal with imaginary numbers and have done imaginary numbers, it should be a really easy problem. Because like there's this one math rule, right? That's said in the chat. One math rule that usually if you have an I in the denominator, you want to get rid of it. Right. You always want to get rid of this I in the denominator. And the most easiest way is to always reciprocate it. So let's say if you have A plus BI, right? And in order to get rid of this I, we have to multiply by its reciprocal. And let's see if it works. Right? A times A is A squared. A times negative BI is minus ABI. BI times A is positive ABI. And then BI times BI is negative B squared I squared. And we know I squared, they said I is equal to negative 1. So I squared has to be, square root of negative 1. So I squared has to be negative 1. So these two cancel. A squared, and this is going to be A squared plus B squared. So you see how the I gets rid of, right? How the I disappears. So that's the tactic you guys can use usually for this question. So you usually never want, like, people don't really like having an I on the bottom, right? So always what you want to do is try to reciprocate it. Multiply by the reciprocal. So 3 plus 2i. And in fact, because we're multiplying by this, we also have to do that on the top, right? Because this is the same thing as multiplying by 1. And if you multiply by 1, you're still going to get the same value. All right. If you multiply this out, this actually works beautifully. I remember that. This is kind of cool how it works so beautifully. But yep, like it was said in the chat, 24, and then we got 8 times 2i, so plus 16i. Oh, did I make a mistake somewhere? 20? No, I. But 16, but I probably did. 8 times 2i is 16i. Okay, minus 3i. Thing. 3i of I times I is negative 2i squared. Yeah. Bottom. Oh yeah, if you see a mistake, definitely just point it out. And always, if you remember, right, if you're multiplying just by its conjugate, this is just like a rule, just to make your life easier. A minus B times A plus B is always going to be equal to a squared minus b squared. Okay, so we could just apply that rule. 9 minus b squared. So we're going to have minus of, so minus 2i, so minus 4i squared. Did I make a mistake somewhere? And never mind, I didn't. Okay, so then this is going to be 24, and then minus 2, so I squared is negative 1, so that's going to be plus 2. So this is going to be 26. Okay, and this is going to be plus 13i. And then this is going to be divided by 13. If you just multiply that out. Okay, and then we're just asking for the value of a just a constant, so 26. So this actually simplifies to 2 plus I, and we know our constant in this case is 2. Okay, so that's going to be our answer. Do you guys understand that? Yeah? Okay. No, this looks complicated. Let's do this one. Oh, sure. Yeah, I could do your question. What question do you have? So I'm just gonna do someone else's question because they have to leave pretty quickly. Is it in the, where is it? Where did he send the question? Yeah, sure. That's okay with me. Where is it? Is it this one? Is it these questions that want me to go over? Yep. Okay. Oh, these are okay. I completely forgot about these. Okay, so you can send it through WhatsApp or Discord, whatever is fine with you. So what I'm gonna do is, let's say I'm gonna make y equal to cotangent. Okay, y is equal to cotangent. I substitute that in. Okay, so I'm gonna get y squared minus 9 equals 0, correct? Oh, don't explain the steps? Oh, you want this? You just want the last answer. Wait, I'm so confused. Do you want this answer? The question answer? Oh, wait. Oh, this gives you this. Oh, my God. Never mind. Why they add 2 pi? Okay, they give you the answer. Why they add 2 pi over here? Let's see. X is equal to arctan. This is pre-calc. Okay. So the reason why they the reason why they're adding 2 pi is because that's a possible solution. Because you see, you remember how like how like you remember how, like, if I have sine, right? Sine of theta, right? And this is going to equal sine of theta plus 2 pi, right? You know that? Because it's like a cyclic function. It goes in a wave. It goes like wee. Oh, actually, it starts like this. It goes wee, doom, 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 right? So you see how this value is the same as this value, right? And the distance between this is going to be 2 pi. So that's the same thing for this tangent function, right? Tangent function goes like this, and over here we've got the same value here, and then it also goes like this, and then that's why they're adding the 2 pi, right? It's for the intervals. It's so that they get all the values. You get that? Yep. Okay. Okay, let's see the other one. But in the question, what about it? What is the interval? Over here, is this the interval? Zero to 2 pi. Okay. I mean, like over here, you see how this is like negative 1/3, arctan of negative 1/3. So it's still gonna land in the interval because of the sign change. Because we're using arctan of negative 1/3, we're still gonna land in that interval. Arctan is like so if I have, let's say, tangent, right? So we know tangent of theta, let's say tangent of theta equals to 5. I don't know. This is probably out of its domain. But let's say we have something like this, okay? Actually, let's say it's pi by 3. Okay? So you've seen this, right? Tan of theta equals pi by 3. Now let's say if you wanted to find the angle theta. You wanted to find what theta was, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to do arctangent of both sides. So we do arctan of tan. Usually you don't really need to write this step, but I'm just writing it so that you understand it. And then we do arctan. It's like dividing both sides, except we're gonna arctan both sides, right? And since arctan is like the inverse tan. It's like tan inverse. It's like the inverse function. Okay. So these two would cancel. So theta would equal to arctan. So that's what arctan is. It's basically the inverse function of tangent. I can do shift pi over 3 and oh yeah. So yeah, the reason why the interval at this 2 pi is just there because it's still going to be in from 0 to 2 pi. Still going to be in 0 to 2 pi, but just remember the fact that this is a negative value. This is a negative value. So if you add this, it's still going to be in this interval. If they give you the interval, no. You still would do that. You'd still add for the interval because there are multiple values that satisfy these equations. Okay. Like these all, if you use your calculator and solve for this one, this one, then and this one and this one, if you put it all in your calculator, you're gonna find that it all falls in this interval. And as long as it falls in this interval, we're good. It works. Okay, and then that's it. Or what is? That's it. Okay. Okay. How about we do one last problem and we'll end for today. So try this problem for everyone else. Or if you have to go, that's okay. While you guys are doing that, I'm just gonna draw a diagram. BC is 16. We need to triangle DEF is similar. Okay. Oh, the question is question 6 over here. Over here. This question. That's the question. Okay, and this is gonna go wing. You guys see the question, right? Just making sure. Because if I'm just drawing on a blank screen, that's not gonna help. DEF. Okay, and they want the sine of angle F. So this isn't too bad of a problem. You just need to kind of think about similar triangles. They're actually testing more about similar triangles. The trig is not too complicated. It's actually not at all complicated. They just want, because in the SAT math, they're only going to test you to algebra 2 and maybe like basic pre-calc. But the reason why is because most seniors, I mean, quite a few seniors, they don't actually, yeah, majority of seniors, they go up till, they go algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, pre-calc. So by senior year, they'll be in pre-calc. So the SAT wants everyone to have a fair game or fair chance. So this is max is basic pre-calc, so just basic trig. And just tell me if you want me to start solving. Okay. So we had to remember one thing. So first, let's try to find out what all the sides are, okay? Do you guys remember your Pythagorean triples? Yeah? Okay. What triangle does this look like to you? What triple does it look like to you? Remember, triples could also be multiple. So here are the main triples that we should know. 3, 4, 5, 5, 12, 13, and 7, 20, 21. These are all the triples that you should know. Yeah, this is going to be 12. So this is just a multiple of the 3, 4, 5 triangle. Okay, and if you divide everything by 1/3, because that's what they said is the length of DEF. Like you could find like each side of DEF. You could go, okay, this is 4. 20 divided by 3 is gonna be 20 divided by 3. All right, and then this is gonna be 16 divided by 3, and then we could do opposite, which is 4 over hypotenuse, which is 20 over 3, which will get you, what will it get you? 12 over 20, which is 3 over 5. Or there's actually an easier way, right? You could do this. You could do this. There's no problem. It's a pretty quick method. But if you want to go even quicker, you just got to realize this one thing. You got to realize that this angle, since they're similar triangles, right? All their angles are going to be equal. So this angle over here, this theta over here is just going to be the same thing as this theta over here. Exactly the same angle.
And then we look at opposite, which is 12 over hypotenuse, over 20, right? And this is going to be 3 over 5. Okay. Into 3 multiplied. Oh. DEF is 1/3 of AB. So DEF is actually a smaller triangle than AB. So it does. So DEF is a small because it's 1/3 the length. So it's not 3 times the length. It's just 1/3. So the reason why it's still right is because it works for any similar triangle. If you multiply by 3, it'll still give you the same answer. If you multiply by 10, it'll give you the same answer. If you multiply by 1/4, it'll give you the same answer. The thing is that DEF is actually a smaller triangle. It's still only 1/3 the length. But yeah, Mm-hmm. So any questions on this? No? Other person? Nope. Okay, then if you have no more questions, I guess we can end here for today. No problem. Thank you guys for attending.